Good morning. Good morning. Please sit down. I just wrapped up a meeting with community leaders, our law enforcement, the elected leaders behind me, our mayor, our county executive, our district attorney, representatives from probation, the sheriff's department, ATF, and state police, and had a very, very thought-provoking conversation about what we're doing about property crime and why it's on the rise in this area and how we can reach and change the trajectory of so many young people who are getting caught up with these crimes right here in Syracuse. I know this community's been hurting, and I really want to acknowledge that. I've heard the horrific stories of kids stealing cars and friends getting killed and finding themselves in a cycle of recidivism even before they graduate from high school. And we talked about the fact that there's a 50% absenteeism rate here in the city of Syracuse public schools. 50% of children are not showing up for classes. And what I learned was that this is even happening in kindergarten. Kindergarten children are not showing up, and they're not getting that start in life that they deserve. Full-day kindergarten's available. It's a safe, secure place, and kids are not being sent there by their parents. So these are some of the challenges, and I wanted to just have a conversation about how my administration is there for you and how we can protect the community, and making sure that my number one priority, which has been my number one priority for the last 3 years as your governor, is to keep people safe and how we can find solutions for this. So we'll be talking about some investments we're making, what we want to do to make sure that Syracuse and Onondaga County are places people not only are safe, but feel safe as well. And sometimes there's a disconnect between the two. So I do want to acknowledge, again, the mayor of Syracuse has joined us, been a great partner for a long time. And we've worked on so many transformative projects together. I was getting an update on the Syracuse Developmental Center. I just spent a little bit of time this morning over at the I-81 site, putting on some boots and the hard hat and just checking on that as well. And I really have been so appreciative of his leadership and how he has brought this community to such an extraordinary place that I'm really proud of. Let's give another round of applause to our mayor. And Ryan McMahon, our county executive here, and you'll always associate his name with one other word, which is micron. And I was just, I was just having some announcements in Albany about us being named as the National Semiconductor Training Center facility, $825 million, and they're coming on this I-90 Innovation Corridor, which Syracuse is dead center in. They're bringing those very competitive programs and initiatives to our state because of Micron coming out. And you had the land ready, you had the vision, and I want to always applaud you for your great work. Let's give another round of applause to our county executive. Our district attorney, Bill Fitzpatrick, had some really thoughtful ideas on what we can also do to collaborate and work together and to find more ways to just solve these problems. And he's really taken his office to an important place. I want to thank him for his leadership as well. And I'm so grateful for the local partners that I have in the state legislature. I mean, you have extraordinary elected officials here in this room, and their voices are strong and powerful in Albany. I assure you, they're aggressive on your behalf, and I consider them all my friends. I want to thank Assemblyman Bill Magnarelli. Good to see you, Assemblymember Pam Hunter. Thank you so much. And I remember walking your district as well. We're Westover. We're talking about that, and now we've had some challenges there as well. So, and also Rachel May, great champion for this area. Thank you for all you do for us, and also Al Serpi. I don't know that Al's here, but again, another friend. Members of the Common Council, and also want to acknowledge Yolanda Seegers. You'll be hearing from her, the Project Rise director. So here's what the dynamic is right now on the ground here in Syracuse. We've made some remarkable strides dealing with crime here in Central New York. Remarkable. Like every region of the state, violent crime is down here significantly since I took office. And let me give you some statistics that you'll be very impressed with. Here in Syracuse, shootings are down 25% just from last year, down 44% during my time as governor, down 44%. In fact, Syracuse had fewer shootings in 2024 thus far than any previous year on record. Never before have we seen statistics related to shootings this low in the history that we've been keeping track. And the results extend beyond the county, beyond the city. In Onondaga County, crime is down 13%, down 16% in the last couple of years. That's the violent crime. Those are the frightening statistics about murders and shootings, and they really reflect the outstanding work of the men and women in uniform here and those who are their leaders. And also, we have had unprecedented funding and a partnership that flows down from Albany to the local law enforcement entities. But that's only one side of the coin. They don't tell the whole story. Because what we're dealing with, glad violent crimes are down. Those are the worst of the worst. Outstanding progress. Thank you, everyone. But over here, we're dealing with property crimes, which by themselves, property crimes, what does that mean? We're talking about a surge in larcenies and break-ins and youth crime, and it's really been traumatic for this community. And really, the benchmark to judge this from is from the pandemic, when it feels like the wheels came off of society. Something happened that sociologists can figure out and tell us years from now, but all we know is we're still dealing with this. Larcenies are up 30% since the pandemic. Auto thefts have more than doubled. And I take this so seriously because every car theft, this can shake a community's sense of security to know that your vehicle with your personal belongings in it has been stolen. But you walk out of your front door and your car is there, you're not getting to work. Your kids might not be getting to school. It is so disturbing and so upsetting, and it hits you right here that you have this lack of security. So it's a really intrusive crime when you think about it. And you may have saved up a lot of money for that car. Not everybody has an extra car in the garage. You don't have an extra Lexus that you can just drive to work. That might have been your 10-year-old Kia, and that's all you've got. And you don't have the money to replace it because the prices have gone up. So what happens is that the most vulnerable people who cannot afford to get that other vehicle as easily, and we don't have the vast public transportation networks that we do in larger cities like New York City. We rely on our cars in upstate. I know this because I used to register cars as the head of the DMV. I know how reliant we are on vehicles here. So vulnerable communities and individuals are being victimized. And the vast majority of stolen cars are the older models, and some of them have this design flaw. The Kias and Hyundais, we've talked about that. And, like I said, it's stealing their livelihood. You're not getting to work that day if you don't have your vehicle, and you may not have a replacement for some time. Now, let's talk about who's doing this. These aren't 60-year-old people stealing cars. We're talking about predominantly teenagers, and they're getting younger and younger. We're not talking about 17 and 18-year-olds. We're talking about 13 and 14 and 15-year-olds. And we know just a couple of days ago, a 13-year-old stole a car and led police on a dangerous ride. We know what happened with the teenagers in the vehicle recently. There's also been a spike in break-ins and larcenies. And this is at your home or your office, your business. And Westcott Street has seen a large number of them, right? It's like a member of Westcott, which is right where I used to live. That was my neighborhood when I was a student, when I lived off campus. And I know how hard they've been trying. We walked there during the pandemic. And the businesses, some of them just starting out. You got young people starting their nice little restaurant or bar or cafe, and some of the legacy businesses have been there a long time. They're all struggling now to come out of this and finally take a breath and say, we got through the pandemic, we're going to be okay. And then you get slammed with a spike in crime where people are preying on you and stealing your livelihood right from out from under your eyes. And so you have to put up the plywood boards over the windows to stop the break-ins. And it doesn't convey a sense of a stable neighborhood when that starts to happen. And they don't deserve that. This is a great community. And like I said, the young people committing crimes, we're working really hard to tailor a solution to meet Syracuse's needs. We've already funded police at record levels. I mean, we've quadrupled the amount of money going for law enforcement, about $5 million up to $21 million. And again, that's made a major dent in violent crime. We've also given unprecedented money to district attorneys across the state to implement the new bail laws and to deal with retail theft and to deal with domestic violence. Whenever we see a spike in crime, we also know at the front lines are our prosecutors, and they need more resources. We can't just keep telling them do more and do more and more without giving them the resources. So we focused on that. But the other side is the people themselves, and how we get to these young people and how we let them know that this does not have to be your destiny. Your destiny is not determined by your zip code. and that there's pathways out of this. And there are others who have fallen prey to the allure of the street gangs, where that might be the only family and the only support system you have, and that's all you know. And how do you break them out of it? Because people have broken from that, and many of them do lead violence disruptor programs because they've lived through it themselves. When I was in Buffalo, my husband was a United States attorney there, worked in the U.S. Attorney's Office for most of his career, and I was out there in the streets as an elected official. I got to know so many of these individuals who started the SNUG programs and all the DADS programs, and all the people who went through the justice system themselves, came out, had a story to tell that is powerful, that only they can tell. And I saw the success of them reaching into that community and pulling these kids up, saying, don't be like me, here's what you need to be doing. I so support these programs with my whole being, because I know they truly work. So we need to help steer these kids away from the crimes. So today, to help assist this, I'm announcing $5 million in new state funding specifically targeted to reducing youth crime and recidivism here in central New York. Now, we're going to be distributing this to the city and the county and various community-based organizations. $1 million will go directly to Onondaga County to address youth recidivism. $1.5 million will go to the city of Syracuse to have a youth intervention program called EXALT. The model was established in New York City. It works. We're bringing programs here that work. This is through tightly structured classes and internships and access to mentors. And it really helps kids who've had a run-in with the law get a roadmap for getting out of that situation and letting them be on a better path. And that's the core of my governing philosophy. Find out what might be working somewhere else and export it to another area. We don't always have to be charged with coming up with the solutions. I guarantee other communities had to go through this before. And I'm looking forward to taking ideas and solutions we innovate here in Syracuse and exporting them to other parts of the state. That's what I'm always doing. But also, I believe in the grassroots programs more than anything. This is the people on the streets, the storefronts, the people who are the trusted messengers to the neighborhood. And of today's new funding, $2 million will go to 11 grassroots organizations in Syracuse through Project RISE. These are the programs that will provide mental health support, crisis intervention, youth employment, which is everything. I mean, you can get a job, I think, still at 15. Can 15-year-olds still work? 14, all right. I know Wegmans is always hiring, and all the stores around here that we shop in, and the fast food places. I mean, those are great places to have that first job, like I did. I was making pizza at 14. I'm still really good at it. So it starts out there, and you have this sense of responsibility. You have to show up. There's an adult who's keeping an eye on you other than your parents. And it does create this sense of you're part of a larger community. And we have to foster that. So I really, truly believe in not just mentoring with another adult, but also getting on a work site after school and on your weekends. And it's so good for these young people to have that confidence in themselves. And vocational training. Like I said, I just left the I-81 site, and there was a young man there that was working. His father had worked to build the original I-81 50 years ago, and he had the training. He lived in the neighborhood, and he was so proud. He just couldn't stop smiling to tell me this story. I mean, these are the best jobs you can ever find anymore. We have to hire so many young people with the skills to build 20 years worth for Micron. I mean, we have 20 years of build out that's going to go on in Micron. We're just in phase 1 of I-81. Those are just 2 examples where I need workers with every skill, and you can raise a family on this. And the pride of being out there and seeing the handiwork of what you worked on, being part of the community story, it's extraordinary. So whatever we can do to get them into all kinds of training, but especially in the trades, and I know so many of them are willing to do this, and they are. So with both these programs, with RISE and EXALT, there's a real focus on the jobs and the training, and I just want to keep focusing on that and help them know that these are transformational programs. But my view is that for as long as you're old enough to work, the best crime fighting strategy is for people to have a job at all ages. That's what you do. And I will continue working on these efforts, and just for trying to tackle these as we whack the mole every time, I'm going to give a shipment of 1,000 steering wheel locks to Syracuse. Here you go. You're going to see these on 1,000 vehicles here because of this. And they look a little cumbersome, a little intimidating, but they work. They work. No one is taking your vehicle if you have one of these on the steering wheel. I guarantee it. So we're going to continue supporting you with those. And anything else you think you need from us, any resident can receive one up to the first 1,000, and we'll keep working on that. So today's new funding, we've invested $23.5 million this year alone in the anti-crime initiatives in policing and making sure that we continue this major commitment. So we'll continue our efforts. I'm not going anywhere. This is my second home. I know this place like the back of my hand, and I love this community. I love the positivity, what's going on, and even in our schools, we're training kids in coding and different science, computer science skills so they can take jobs at micro. We're doing things differently. But until we ensure that every young person has a better path and that our law enforcement are supported and our community organizations are all part of the solution, until that time when it's all working the way we want it to, we're not going anywhere. We're going to keep showing up and supporting you. That's what state government is supposed to be all about, and that's what it's all about under my administration. So I know we can do it. Let's continue supporting our men and women in uniform. As I've said, I can never thank them enough. And for our elected leaders, appreciate all you do for us. And with that, let me introduce again our great mayor, Mayor Ben Walsh. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Governor. I'm really happy to have you back here in Syracuse, and you are always there when we need you. I want to acknowledge our law enforcement partners in the room. I also want to acknowledge our community-based partners in the room. We can't do this work alone. We have to do it together. And one thing that the governor and I and others talk about is that the problems that we're facing, they're not city problems. They're not county problems or state problems. They're society problems. So all of the society needs to come together and work together on these problems. And we are. Governor gave a really important example about what we've been able to do together collectively on violent crime. Shortly after the governor was elected, we had a conversation and talked about our struggles and our challenges and frustrations with violent crime. And as you can see, the data shows that what we've been doing is working. And so we have a model. We know what works, and we are applying that model to our challenges with property crime. It's important to note, as the governor did, that many of those that are perpetrating these property crimes are juveniles. One of the things we discussed during our roundtable was the critical balance between holding people accountable regardless of their age, and that's something that we're all committed to, but also understanding that many of these young people are coming from very difficult home environments. Many of them, as you heard, are not regularly attending school. And so they need the support necessary to put them on a better path. And through these investments, I think, again, you're seeing acknowledgement of striking that balance, holding young people and all people accountable, but getting them in diversionary programs that give them the skills and the stability they need to be successful in life. So I am, again, proud of the partnership. I'm proud of all of our community-based partners that are here with us, and I can assure this community that your leadership is aligned in prioritizing these crimes, in holding people accountable, and getting our young people on a better path. With that, I want to introduce one of our other critical partners. The county executive has been with us every step of the way, and I look forward to what we're going to do together. With that, County Executive Ryan McMahon.
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you. And I think it's good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. Governor, thank you for being here again and reinvesting in us and with us on really this important topic. And if you think about it, the governor shared what are really impressive stats related to violent crime. And I want to congratulate all of our partners in the community that helped really do the work on the ground at so many different agencies. And you can imagine what that data would have looked like if the resources we put in these departments could focus solely on violent crime and on getting fentanyl dealers and drug dealers off the streets. And I believe they can, because I think if we work together related to these juvenile issues, we can make tremendous progress. And saying that, I want to really thank the governor and DCJS for the $1 million that will be invested in us, with our probation team. And I want to acknowledge our director, Kristen Jackson, who is here, and the team they have. The reality is that we have an extremely successful diversion program for our youth who are charged with misdemeanors. And so 95% of the kids who are charged with misdemeanors take a wise choice, and they get into, with their families, one of our diversion programs, and then they don't get into the family court system. And with this investment, we have a full team at probation that just works with these youth specifically. And with this investment, we will continue to build on those efforts, because with probation, our job is to make sure that we're always looking out and addressing the needs of victims, but we also are trying to steer our youth onto a better path. And we believe that we have a model that can be done. So I really want to thank all of our partners. Again, DCJS, thank you so much. Governor, thank you for that. I want to thank our teams. And I think the mayor and the governor talked about it. For us to have the credibility and the street credit to really get to these youth, we need community partners. And we have great community partners who have great programming experience. And one of those is Yolanda Seegers. So please, at this time, give a warm welcome to Yolanda Seegers from Project Rise.
First, I want to say thank you, Governor Hochul, for this opportunity, for providing this for the Syracuse community, because this will support with changing the narrative that we have been going through for quite some time. You spoke about that 50% of students who aren't attending school, but we also spoke about career readiness. But if they cannot read, they will not be able to move into any career. They will not be able to stop some of the things they're doing, because they're going to go back to just their natural environment and do the things that are community norms. But through this partnership of these 11 organizations, as well as the stakeholders that are in the room who have welcomed me into their meetings, so I can hear about the community data, hear about the things that are impacting in different areas of this community, so we can strategically plan, build additional partnerships, and not only focusing on the 11 organizations, focusing on the others who may not have received allocations but need the support with embedding an infrastructure that will align data support, an infrastructure that will align with training of best practices and data-informed practices of things that we know that work, not only in the Syracuse community, but nationally, so we can now replicate, but then provide that training to the community, so they will also know about policies that are impacting. So they would know how to be bought into that process and changing and aligning goals. So I want to thank you again. I want to thank everyone that's here today, and I appreciate this opportunity, and I look forward to increasing all the things that we have been doing through Project Rise with the community support. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending today's event. At this time, please make your way to the exits at the front and the rear of the room. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.